Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to be going over how I make up my own card tricks and how you can do it too. So I get a lot of people telling me in the comments that they try to make up their own tricks, but sometimes they get stumped and they don't know where to go. This is really annoying, and obviously I come across this a lot, and I would make a video here kind of explaining the steps that I take in order to accomplish making my own trick. So this video is going to be filled with a little bit of with a lot of information, and it's going to be kind of, I don't know how long it's going to be, but I just want to make sure you guys get it all. And it's going to be very kind of vague, because obviously making up your own trick, there's endless possibilities. So I'm going to go over my thinking pattern, and hopefully this helps you. I'm really hoping this is going to be at least of some value to you. So just a quick thing before I move on. This is the Nautic back deck. I posted the lie detector trick, and everyone seemed to ask me what deck I was using in the video. Here's what the box looks like. Okay, it's called Nautic back. Check that out if you are interested. So here's what I do first. I think of a genre of a trick. So let's say my favorite is color changing. So I like color changing card tricks, or when the deck changes colors, or when a single card happens to change, like the back of it changes to a different deck or something like that. So pick something that you're really interested in, because it'll make it easier, obviously, to make up your own. So let's say you like mentalism, prediction, sandwich style. So it's all up to you at this point. So pick up whatever style you want, and then start from there. Now the second part of the trick, or sorry, the second part of making up your own, is probably this. It's the second hardest part of the whole ordeal here. So when you start off, you have to think of the style, and then you have to think of what happens beginning to end of the trick. So the second part is you think of the trick beginning to end. Now you want your trick's pattern to make sense, and you want the trick to have some turning points. You don't want it to have like a linear plot throughout, because that'll be boring. You want it to have some sort of pop at the end, some sort of little switcheroo thing you're gonna do. So here's what I do. So I thought of the style, and I thought of what's gonna happen in the trick. So you don't think of the sleights that are involved. You don't think of anything. Okay, you think of the completely bare bones core idea of the trick. So when I thought of this at first, I said, I want to make a trick in which the spectator can just pick a card, and then whatever card they pick, it will change colors to a different deck. So let's say this black card will change to like a red card, and then in this case it's the 8 of diamonds, and then in the red deck I could have the black 8 of diamonds already in there. So the red 8 of diamonds is in this deck, and the black 8 of diamonds is over in the other deck. But the spectator doesn't realize that until the end, and it's like cool, because when the spectator looks at their card, it has already changed colors. So that was the bare essential idea of the trick. You want to be able to think of it start to finish, without using the deck. Obviously, if you need to use the deck for like visual purposes, I understand, obviously, but you want to be able to think of the entire routine in your head. Now, the second part is this going to be, or I would say actually before you even think of the trick, just a quick tip: impromptu tricks are more difficult to think up than a deck or a trick that has a deck set up. Okay, just a little tip there. You don't obviously have to do a setup trick, but it's a little bit easier because you can control more aspects of the effect. So now let's kind of move on to like the next part. This is when you take the trick from your idea, you put it into reality. This is the more difficult part of the trick. So you want to think of what kind of different sleights you can use in order to make this trick. Is this going to be heavily relied on? Is your trick going to be heavily relied on like the double lift? Are you going to force a card, which is what I did in my trick? This isn't a tutorial for the trick, by the way. If you want to see it, link is on the screen. It should be already up there. And then you want to think of like I said, what sleights you're going to use. So double lift, are you going to force the card? Is this going to be like an Elmsley count type trick? What kind of sleights can you use in order to bring this trick to life? Now, this is the part where a lot of people get stumped on, because they can't bring their trick to life, but it's a lot easier to bring your trick in reality once you've thought of the entire trick beginning to end. So that's a lot of that. This is the one reason, or the main reason, I think a lot of people mess up or they fail at doing this is because they don't already know the trick beginning to end. And now here's another thing that I think about. You want the trick to flow, and you want the patter, to kind of go along with the trick. So what I mean by making things flow is when you do your sleights, you want it to make sense for the trick. So when you're forcing a card, you want it to look nice. Also, when you're doing like a double lift or something. And let's say the sleight that you thought about using doesn't work. So when I made up my trick, I thought maybe of using like a double backer or like just a regular double lift, but I couldn't figure out how could I use a double lift in order to make a change. So to make the color change I'm talking about. So I had to think deeper, and I thought, what about using a triple lift? So when I did the triple lift, I was actually able to conceal the opposite color card, and then I was able to do a wrist kill and obviously make the look like the color change. So like I said, the tutorial, this isn't the tutorial for the trick, but so that's what I had to do. This is the toughest part, and there's nothing more here than just like raw brain power. You really have to be creative here and think of the sleights that you can use. And now here's another tip that I have. Let's say you're really lacking inspiration. You can look at some of my other videos to see what kind of sleights I used, or you can look at other magicians and see what kind of sleight they're using, and you can take the general core idea and you kind of want to change it, alter it, make it your own, and then you can kind of call it yours. But obviously, if you're just taking their core idea and applying it into yours and not doing anything with it, you want to obviously reference them. You want to say, okay, so this trick is based off of, and you say whatever their name is. You don't want to take credit. That's really bad. So if you see somebody doing like some sort of sleight, you can alter it, change it, see, okay, how can I make this fit my trick? How can I make this completely my own? So that's something that I know a lot of people do, and sometimes I'll do it, is I'll have to look at, other magicians, see what kind of things they're doing with their tricks, and then I either make it my own, or I'll say, okay, so this is kind of this is based off of whoever made this trick. So you definitely want to do that, and that's one of the best ways that you can when you're lacking inspiration, that's one of the best things you can do. And like I said before, you really want to think of what sleights you can put into your trick. You want to make sure that your patter flows nicely. You want to think of your trick start to finish. That's probably number one. You want to think of your trick start to finish completely before you even start working with the deck, because that way you already know when you're kind of thinking of what sleights to use. It'll give you an idea. So like I said, guys, this video is going to be kind of vague. It's just making up your trick is it's one of those things that's all on you. And this is just going to give you, I'm just telling you the kind of things that I think about when I make up my own tricks. So hopefully, this video just kind of made sense to you. And I hope there's some value in here. And as always, guys, thank you for watching.